Legend has it that once every 10 years, Nintendo releases a very special game. It's about a mysterious planet and tiny creatures called Pikmin that do all kinds of tasks. Well, the legend was true, and here we have Pikmin 4, a brand new game from the youngest franchise created by Super Mario's creator. Now the question is, was it worth the long wait? We'll tell you everything right here, right now, in our Pikmin 4 review for Nintendo Switch. With Splatoon becoming one of Nintendo's most important franchises and Zelda selling millions, Nintendo's secondary series are at their best on the Switch. The entire Pikmin series is available on the hybrid console, with Pikmin 3 Deluxe breaking historical sales records until the arrival of Pikmin 4. The popularity of Pikmin is at its peak, and it's time for a reboot to introduce the story to new players. Pikmin has always told the story of Captain Olimar arriving in one way or another to an unknown planet where creatures called Pikmin help him repair his ship and find treasures. The story of Pikmin 4 has two main goals. The first is to mock the saga itself, making fun of how the astronauts crash over and over again on the same planet, thus justifying the Pikmin games and their similarities. The second one is to reboot the entire story, something that may not please all the fans. The plot of Pikmin 4 implies that what happened in Pikmin 1, 2, and 3 was a prelude, something kinda like a prequel to the first firm step the franchise should have taken, making its universe more consistent without forgetting existing characters or locations. Honestly, we think it's an excellent way for new players not to get too overwhelmed by the concepts that were taken for granted, but at the same time, it makes players who enjoyed previous Pikmin games recognize, understand, and be surprised by the events told in Pikmin 4, without having to forget anything from its past. The introduction of a lot of new characters with their ups and downs serves to create a mini universe that complements the existing one. It moves away from the classic repair the ship or find treasures formula to delve a little deeper into the lore of the franchise with Ochi, an adorable dog that has become the star of Pikmin 4 and, for us, an essential part of the series from now on. While not a narrative masterpiece, the story and characters of Pikmin 4 have impressed us. It doesn't forget the past. Despite being a reboot, it actually delves into the Pikmin lore in a way that we've been waiting for decades and brings it up to the level of other Nintendo franchises like Splatoon or Metroid. Pikmin was born on GameCube, with Nintendo doing their best to represent a natural world as realistically as possible, with pretty good results considering. But of course, all technology looks like trash with time, and the Nintendo Switch is a very capable console that can bring a visually realistic appearance that fits well with a franchise like Pikmin. To achieve this, the development team used Unreal Engine 4 from Epic Games, whose features make it perfect for realistic environments. The result is no short of astounding for a handheld console with 7 years under its belt. Pikmin 4 is one of the best looking games on Switch. The combination of highly detailed textures, a great draw distance, powerful blurring lines, and excellent lighting make the game look impressive. Even the water reflections, with decent quality, help giving consistency to the graphics. If you pay attention, the interactive elements in the environment are not very numerous, but the vegetation is implemented well enough to fill the screen and avoid a sense of emptiness, at least the first few times you visit the locations. At certain points in the game, we can enter caves, which are closed and smaller environments where Pikmin 4 feels more comfortable. On the other hand, the outdoor areas feel huge, with plenty of treasures and things to do. Pikmin 4 also solidifies the design of the franchise, making it more pleasant and charming, with Ochi as the main attraction of what looks like the new, fluffy, and realistic era of Pikmin. Pikmin 4 uses a dynamic resolution system with a maximum 720p resolution on TV, occasionally dipping. In handheld mode, the resolution is lower, resulting in a slightly blurry look, but maintaining an excellent performance. After analyzing the technical side of Pikmin 4, we've seen that Nintendo's goal is to maintain a steady 30 FPS at all times, and it succeeds with a few exceptions. In very, very rare moments, we've seen it drop slightly to 25 frames per second, with small frame pacing gaps resulting in visual stutters of 50 to 100 milliseconds. These occasions are very few, but they do exist. But really, we can't expect much more from Nintendo Switch, especially with a game that looks as good as Pikmin 4. Even with hundreds of moving elements on the screen in huge environments, it holds up well, and that's something we value very positively. The music has undergone significant changes that could very well come from the creators of Zelda Breath of the Wild. The tone feels very relaxed, with very soft melodies that serve as a backdrop for the true star of the sound department, which is the sound effects. Both the environmental and character sounds have been meticulously designed by Nintendo to sound better than ever. They aim to make everything around us sound and feel as realistic as possible, from the flowing water to the birds, insects, and even the sounds of the wind rustling through the leaves. The soundtrack is based on Pikmin 2 and some of its main songs, giving them a personal and intimate touch that makes them almost unrecognizable. It also adds new discrete compositions that don't particularly stand out. Pikmin 4 is a very easy game, and we love it. Traditionally, the Pikmin series has been one of Nintendo's toughest, especially if you don't want to lose any Pikmin from your battalion. Now, however, a lot of features have been added to greatly facilitate the experience, shifting the gameplay focus to task organization. Nintendo presents this as the Japanese term dandori, which roughly translates to task planning, but in a cooler way because it's Japanese. This marketing strategy included in the game itself as dandori challenges may seem opportunistic, but its exotic nature will delight the mass audiences of the game anyway, because this Pikmin game is fully focused on the mass, more accessible than ever, more relaxed, beautiful, and adaptable to any type of player. In Pikmin 4, we have to rescue our brigade of astronauts who crashed on the Pikmin planet. Well, them and a bunch of other stranded astronauts. The protagonist, who can be created through a character editor, is aided by a space dog named Ochi and the loyal Pikmin. With this curious army, the protagonist has to face enemies, explore terrain and its caves, and collect treasures that serve as fuel for the brigade ship. So the concept is pretty much the same as in previous Pikmin games, but the gameplay itself is very different, allowing for a less stressful experience, even relaxing, as it adapts to your individual pace. The foundation of Pikmin 4 is the same as in the previous games, but the gameplay is very different. As we rescue characters, new options and challenges are added to our camp, allowing for gradual improvements to both the protagonist and Ochi. We love this aspect, as it enhances the RPG component that the franchise had barely explored in the past. Let me just say this, just because it's easy doesn't mean it's not complicated, by which I mean this is the Pikmin game with the most gameplay options and the most convoluted controls, with menus, sub-menus, more radial menus, and shortcuts to try to organize a system that is very complete. The protagonist can throw Pikmin using an optional on-screen pointer controlled by the player's movements. It only works when throwing or calling Pikmin, a controversial design decision that we didn't quite like and was made to avoid the drift issue experienced in Pikmin 3 Deluxe. You know, so players don't have to constantly recenter it. Nevertheless, auto-targeting has also been implemented, which undermines any potential complications. This extreme simplicity, with enemies being weaker than ever, feels like a double-edged sword. Very accessible, but it could be more enjoyable if it were slightly more challenging, or at least offered us that option. Even boss battles can be quickly defeated by throwing a bunch of Pikmin at them with Ochi, taking away some of the charm and challenge they conceptually offer. At least it is very entertaining, which is the main goal of this Pikmin game. The main story has an approximate duration of 20 to 25 hours, but it can be extended beyond 30 hours if you want to do it 100%, making it the longest and most content-rich game in the series. But if you still thought the game would be challenging for some people, well, the multiplayer mode is here to dispel any hint of difficulty. In Pikmin 4, 2 players can play with just 2 Joy-Con controllers in cooperative or competitive mode, and to our surprise, it's quite comfortable. In story mode, a second player can join the game at any time and throw rocks or objects to help the protagonist with an overwhelming force, defeating enemies in no time and without any danger or limitations. It's a gameplay mode that's obviously aimed at inexperienced players or parents with young children, so that Pikmin 4 doesn't offer any kind of real challenge for them at all. The most significant improvement in this new game of the franchise has been the substantial improvements in the artificial intelligence of the companions, no longer following the astronaut in a straight line and being able to perform complex commands throughout the environment, such as gathering lost Pikmin. The sheer amount of challenges proposed by the supporting characters can be overwhelming, but it's something that will delight players who want to spend hours exploring the world of Pikmin in a relaxed and unhurried manner. The Pikmin 4 Dandori challenges, on the other hand, do offer a high level of difficulty in the later stages, not so much in the strength of the enemies, but because of the time and resource management required. In that sense, Pikmin 4 excels as a strategy and management game. On the other hand, the nighttime raids serve to change the game style to play more like a tower defense, offering quick, mandatory missions for the progression of the story that bring freshness and variety to the game. So at the beginning of this review, we set out to answer one question. Was Pikmin 4 worth the long wait? The answer is a resounding yes. Pikmin 4 may not be the typical sequel to Pikmin. It's more like a reboot that solidifies the foundations of the game that had enormous potential but hadn't fully realized it. In doing so, it has sacrificed difficulty in favor of entertainment. It's such a simple game now that it reminds us of titles like Kirby or Animal Crossing, but that doesn't make it a bad game. It embraces accessibility, giving players the freedom to progress at their own pace and in their own way, just like recent games such as Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. We praise the fantastic technical performance, showcasing high-quality, realistic graphics on the Nintendo Switch, with brilliant use of lighting and blurring effects. Pikmin 4 is one of the best games on Nintendo Switch, and also the best Pikmin game, period. It is the simplest, yet the most entertaining and enjoyable for everyone. With no time restrictions, each player can manage their game according to their own preferences, and that freedom, which characterizes Nintendo's contemporary era, now allows Pikmin to grow and become one of its best franchises. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the best videos about Nintendo and Switch. And for now, here are the latest ones. See you next time!